everyone, welcome to another edition of From the Stands, the Cool Pick Show. This is the second last episode of 2020 and of From the Stands. As well as a reminder, we are rebranding the show to the Players Experience Podcast starting in January 2021. So we were really excited for that. But until then, I'd like to welcome on today's guest, Rod Black, TSN broadcaster for a number of years. He's covered so many sports, more than I can count really on my hands, because he's done so much work with so many different great co-hosts. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about his work with the Special Olympics and a special relationship that him and Mike Pinball Clemons share as well. Before we bring Rod onto the show, of course, we would just like to thank our production team, Jay Solti Photography, for the work that they do with the show each and every episode. And as well, I give a shout out to our sponsors, Hush Blankets and the Great North Apparel, for their products and for codes that they have sent me, which you guys can get access to. All you have to do is hit up the link in our Instagram and Twitter bios, and you'll be able to get access to some great products at a discounted price. So make sure to hit up those. Now, without further ado, let's get Rod on and start talking about how he got into broadcasting and where it all started. Hey, Rod, how's it going, man?
Good. I'm doing great. Thanks.
Good. Thank you for taking the time to be on the show today. How are things going in your life right now?
Busy as always. Holiday season around the corner. I'd like to be doing more sports, obviously, right now, live sports, but, I guess we're all kind of waiting this out. It's been a very strange year, Ryan, obviously. But having said that, I still try to keep busy and doing a lot of these, a lot of these Zooms. Zoom seems to be an official sport now, so doing that and just trying to, keep my family busy and everybody else, and hoping and above hope that I get my Christmas wish. You know what I want for Christmas?
What's that?
A vaccine.
Yep.
A vaccine, so that we don't have to go through this next year. But everything's going good. How about you?
Good. I am good, man. I'm glad to hear things are going well on your end. Same with mine, just busy with work, busy with the podcast. We're rebranding the podcast in a couple episodes starting in January. So we're really excited about that. And outside of that, man, just been doing what you've been doing, Zoom calls with friends and family and catching up. And with Christmas like a week away, we're going to be like Zooming with my aunt and uncle and cousin, who we normally see every year in Toronto, but they're out in New Brunswick right now. So it's definitely going to be a different holiday this year, but nonetheless, it'll still be good to be able to like see friends and family and know that everyone's still healthy.
Yeah, well, the good thing is, we have no excuses now. Before at Christmas time, if you didn't want to see certain relatives, you just didn't see them. But now with this Zoom thing, it's very easy. So I encourage everybody who's watching or listening to try to get together with friends and family. The bad news is this pandemic has certainly changed many people's lives, but what it shouldn't change is everybody's spirit. There's a great opportunity to still connect with people, your friends, family, and maybe people that you haven't seen in a long time, and that's a great thing. And so on the other side of this thing, I always maintain, let's be better for it, and let's be better going out than we were going in. So I'm hoping for that.
Well, let's get into the broadcast side of things, and I want to learn about your experiences and your favorite memories and things like that you've had so far in your career. And the first thing I wanted to find out from you is, how did you get into broadcasting?
Wow, that's a long one. How long is this podcast? You got a couple days? I got in, Ryan, I'm not going to say that I dreamed of becoming a sportscaster, although I always kind of thought it could happen, but I was pretty young at the time, and I was playing a lot of sports. I just played sports. That's all I did. My whole life has been about sports. And, I never really watched a full game, because I'd watch a period or a quarter or a half, and I'd be outside playing and mimicking and trying to be like my heroes, whatever sport that was. And so I grew up in Winnipeg, and that was my life, just surrounded around sports. And then at a younger age, I was getting into theater, and I was doing voices, and I was doing some stuff on local radio stations. I was like 12 or 13. And then I became a DJ at a roller rink, of all things, and I quite liked that, and being in front of a crowd. And I guess around 17, I got a couple of offers, scholarship offers to go to the United States to pursue sports opportunities, one in basketball, one in hockey. I was also into baseball. And then as I was going on my way down for one of the visits, I decided to go back home and decided to go into a course called Creative Communications at Red River Community College in Winnipeg. And it kind of changed my life. And then a year later, I didn't finish the course, unfortunately, because a year later, I got my dream job. I was just turned 18, and I was hired at a local station in Winnipeg. And, they just didn't hire, I was a kid. They didn't hire kids at the time. I didn't think, and it was, as it turned out, it was my, honestly, my dream come true. It was like I won a lottery, because since that day, and I've been doing it for a long time, almost 40 years now, it was my step, my first step. And then, I've just been broadcasting ever since. 8 years later, well, first of all, I did local sports and, late night sports and reporting. And then I was a host of the Winnipeg Jets broadcasts. Did a lot of work with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers there. And then back in around 1989, I got a chance to do a lot of CTV work, hosted the Canadian Open golf event. And then a year later, I moved to Toronto to take over as host of CTV Sports at the time, which was rebranding itself, and got a chance to host an Olympics. That was part of the job to host a couple of Olympics. So that was kind of cool. And, I'm in the middle of that, I also got a job offer in Tampa Bay to be the play-by-play announcer for the Lightning. So I had to make a choice there. So I stayed in Toronto, and it's been great, obviously. I mean, I live for sports. I love sports. I love broadcasting sports. And I mean, like your background there, I got sports on today. I'm going to be watching it all day long. That's all I do. And I still love to play, but I love to call the games, and I love to be at the game. So it's been a great job. It's been a lot of hard work, but you know what? Honestly, Ryan, if somebody said, you have to do this for nothing and they didn't have to pay you, I'd still do it. Just don't tell them that, okay?
We'll keep that between you and me. Don't worry.
All right.
But you know what? At the end of the day, it's not really work if you enjoy the job.
Yeah, exactly. That's what my dad gave me some great advice. He said, find a job that you love and you'll never work a day in your life. And I do work hard. I mean, you know me. I mean, I do a lot of different events. And so,
yeah.
Normally, not a pandemic year, but normally I'm busy doing a different sport, probably 3 or 4 times a week, and trying to stay busy, doing as much as I can. People always ask me, I'm sure one of your questions is, what's your favorite sport to cover? And I will tell you, whatever it is today, whatever sport there is today, I love them all.
That's fantastic. And it's really great to know that, because we've known each other for a number of years now through the Special Olympics, and we'll get into that. And you're right, I do have some questions about your time with CTV Sports then and covering sports. But the being in Toronto, being in Toronto for the most recent set of years and covering the CFL and NBA more primarily, what's been one of your favorite memories between those two sports being able to cover?
Well, I mean, the obvious, winning an NBA championship with the Toronto Raptors. Here, I'll just hang on 1 second. I'm going to show you. Hang on.
All right.
Hang on. Yeah. Hang on. I'm coming. Hang on. I'll give you another one. There we go. Hang on. Yeah, I didn't go away from you. I'm still here.
Yeah.
So, covering the Raptors, I've been there since day one back in 1995. And one of my most cherished memories is this night. Is with Jack Armstrong and Matt Devlin, my buddy Leo Routens and I. That was courtside at Oracle Arena the night they won, and I'll cherish this forever because, we're a team as well. I mean, we don't play, we just broadcast, but we're a team. Everybody on the broadcast unit is a team. I consider them all teammates on every sport I cover, and so, and obviously that was great, and the parade was great, and for the CFL, I think there's a lot. I think every year is different. I mean, this was a crazy year. And no CFL first time in 100 years, but there we go. And there we go. 2017 Argo Grey Cup was phenomenal. The fact that they were severe underdogs. I don't root for anybody. I don't cheer. I mean, I do have a team that I secretly cheer for, the Minnesota Vikings, just because I grew up and I like their uniforms, I think. But I cheer for great games, and I cheer for people, and I cheer for athletes. And I really cheer for great finishes, and that was one of the most spectacular finishes when the Argos won in 17. When the Argos won in 2012 as well, the 100th Grey Cup in Toronto, that was spectacular. Watching guys like the guy behind you there, Chad Owens, who, you know, I had an opportunity to get to know, and Ricky Ray and all of those guys. But every year is so different. The 2016 Grey Cup, which was won, you know, in Toronto by the Ottawa Red Blacks, that was spectacular. The other guy behind you, rest in peace, Tony Fernandez, you know, one of the greatest Blue Jays ever. I mean, I love Tony. I got a chance to cover the Blue Jays too. I mean, before that, back in 1992 and 1993, I hosted the Blue Jay broadcasts, and then I called the Blue Jay games, you know, from 98 to 2000, I think it was, with Joe Carter. And then, of course, I went over to TSN, and we called games alongside Pat Tabler for, you know, 2000 till, or, you know, the 90s till like 2007 or 8. And then obviously Rogers bought the team. But, you know, I have so many great memories from all of the teams, and hockey too. You know, I do a lot of hockey. And it's funny that, though, you know, I don't really keep stuff. I don't keep souvenirs, and I kind of keep memories and moments. And I kind of, everybody says, what's your greatest memory? I said, it's probably tomorrow, you know, whatever it may bring. I mean, I just love the games, and the fact that I've had a front row seat and not had to pay for the ticket for a long time means, yeah, that, you know, to me, it's been special. I mean, so there's so many people ask me all the time. I mean, Mike Weir winning the Masters, I got to be there at the time. But there's so many great moments. That's sports. That's sports. Women's hockey, which I love doing. Figure skating, which I love doing. Special Olympics, going to Special Olympics events, which I love doing. So there's so many great memories. It's really tough to put one, but I definitely put the Raptors NBA championship win right up there with the Blue Jays win back in 92 and 93.
That's great. And I know for me, like, I was too young for the 92-93 World Series, where I was like, what, 2 or 3 years old when that happened, because I was born in 90. But the Raptors parade was definitely something special. Because
did you go to the Raptors parade?
Oh, I 100% did. I booked off that day.
Where were you?
I was Queen's University and like Adelaide area, right on the corner, just south of Nathan Phillips Square.
Were you squished?
Oh, I was squished, and it was so fun because there were so many memories because the parade was delayed. We ended up having.
It was a long parade. They should have done a better job, because a lot of people could have got seriously hurt. And you know, they obviously had an incident, but it wasn't very well planned. In fact, I just think the parade just ended. I think it just ended. No, but it was spectacular. I'll never forget. I was at City Hall and watching them come in. We waited for hours, but you know, I'm sure, like, you know what, I'm sure you probably remember, or it's hard now to think about. It was probably one of the last times, you know, over the last certainly year and a half, that we had a chance to be close to people without being socially distant and without wearing a mask. I couldn't imagine a parade now. I mean, I know they went through it in Tampa with the Stanley Cup champions, and you know, in LA, I don't think they had their parade for the Lakers. I mean, it's just seems so different to watch those pictures of people just squished like this. I mean, I hope that we get to a day like that again.
We definitely will at some point, and maybe that year will be the Toronto year. The Raptors will win, the Leafs will win, the Jays will win, everything, and have all the parades in a row, you know? Let's hope.
Yeah. Let me see. So who do you think?
I'm
going to say, let's put the odds on. Who's going to win first? The Blue Jays, the Raptors, or the Leafs?
Probably the Raptors.
Yeah, I see. I would go, and this is nothing against the Raptors. I just think the Raptors are in tough now because I still think the Raptors will win again. But I think I honestly believe the Toronto Maple Leafs will win a Stanley Cup in the next couple of years. I think they're loaded up. I think they got a really good chance. I think that finally a dream. 1967. By the way, you aged yourself. I was only 5 years old, from Winnipeg. I wasn't really a big Leaf fan, but it's hard to believe it's taken that long, for over 50 years for a Maple Leaf Stanley Cup to happen again.
Yeah.
But I also think the Blue Jays got a really good, serious chance within 5 years. And you might be right. It might be, let's say, 3 years from now. And depending on if the Raptors can get some big star players, not mentioning who, they could, I honestly thought the Raptors could have won this year again. I mean, that, had Pascal Siakam and others played a little bit better in the bubble, I think the Raptors had a real legitimate shot. But yeah, that, your fantasy might come true.
Yeah, well, only time will tell. Now, while you've been able to do broadcasting and coverage of so many different sports throughout your career, you've obviously been to so many different stadiums and different cities, and gotten to explore and experience like the culture with different cities and that. What has been your favorite stadium to visit so far out of like any sport?
Well, let's go. Why don't I go through them all? My favorite arena for hockey is Bell Center in Montreal.
Okay.
And it's not that it's spectacular or anything. It's the crowd. They fit 20,000 in. It's just magic when you're inside it. There's such a vibe. It's loud. The screen's great. I would put Detroit's new arena, Caesars, up there just because I love the statues. I love the statues around there. Old Chicago Stadium, I had a chance to be there when it was just old, rickety stadium, but it had the ghost spoke there. There was such a vibe. I remember going there in the All-Star game years ago, the Desert Storm All-Star game. For baseball, I would definitely say, the classics. I love Wrigley Field, Fenway Park, and Wrigley Field is actually they've done a lot of nice things, but Fenway Park, I say to everybody, it's the most beautiful garbage dump you'll ever be around. It's old, and again, it's rickety, and there's kind of smells and scents there. You see kind of rats running around, but it's polished as well, and it's beautiful. And you just know the history of all the players who played there, like from the recent Red Sox to Carl Yastrzemski to Ted Williams to Babe Ruth. The greats have played there, and Fenway is magical. Dodger Stadium's spectacular. I'm going through a lot of them. The older ones really resonate to me because I think a lot of the newer stadiums look the same. If you take that wide shot, they all look the same. The arenas, the stadiums look the same. Minnesota's new football stadium is spectacular. I had a chance to visit there. Irving Field, where the Cowboys play, that is spectacular. The NBA, I would say the best arena experience in the NBA probably used to be Oracle Arena before they made the new one in Golden State. But the best experience, I believe, in the NBA, and this is not biased, is in Scotiabank Arena. The Raptor fans are incredible. It is absolutely incredible, especially with Jurassic outside. They'll put statues up eventually there. I mean, I'm also going to say Rogers Center. I know they're thinking about tearing it down, but Rogers Center for me has a lot of great memories. And I know some people say, oh, it's not baseball. When that place is packed, Ryan, on a beautiful starlit night, and you're looking up the dome, you're looking up at the CN Tower, it is special. There have been so many magical memories that have been crafted in that place. And, I defy anybody. I mean, it is really, really special. And here's the other thing. I also don't believe the Toronto Blue Jays would have won those 2 world championships or been in playoffs without that dome, because the weather, quite frankly, can be horrible in October. And they wouldn't have been able to play any games. They would not have been able to play any games back in '92. They probably would have rained out or snowed out every night. So I guess I gave you a lot of different ones there. And I went to Wembley, and in England during the Olympics. I went where Man U plays. So they're all special, man. There's so many special places, but also for me, some magical places are places I used to play. My backyard lot, the basketball net across the street, which was on a pole, which I played in when I was a kid. This little diamond that barely had any grass. I pretended I was Pete Rose or Rod Carew, and we created our own Fenway Park. My Pirates Community Club in Winnipeg, I wake up in the morning and skate down the back lane. That's how cold it was. Skate down the back lane, walk there at 6 o'clock in the morning. People would yell at me to stop shooting pucks that early in the morning. And, Grosse Isle, Manitoba, where I played for the Grosse Isle Blue Jays. It was a field of dreams. So I think, having said all of that, you your greatest memories are also the places you play. So there are, and one of the great things in Canada, we need some more, but we have so many great places to play.
For sure. And it's really incredible. And we're very fortunate to have those places to be able to play as well. I know, like for me, for Special Olympics, one of my favorite things was going to nationals a couple of years ago and having my family being able to come out. So there was like this little just like backyard. It looked almost like a backyard baseball diamond. There was 2 diamonds there that they had rejigged for the nationals, and it was great. It felt like home, and it felt like you're playing in the backyard for sure. Now, talking about memories and creating those experiences, we're talking about the CFL. Obviously, you do the work in the broadcast booth with the CFL, and you have a really close relationship with Mike Pinball Clemons. It always seems that you guys have a thriving relationship at any event you go at. You always throw jabs at each other.
Right. Yes. Right. Yes. He's my favorite guy. I love him. He's so cute and cuddly. Yes. Right. Yes. Go ahead, Ryan. Go ahead. Yes.
That just says right there. That's amazing. Yo, that's pinpoint. I'm gonna have to share that with Mike and be like, yo, we need to clip. But
here's the thing. Like you've met him.
Yeah.
When you meet this man, I've been so lucky. I am blessed. I have met so many great people in sports. No one is better than Michael Pinball Clemons. No one has a bigger heart. No one is as smart. No one has been as talented. No one has been as dominant. He may be short in stature, the way he played, but the way he played was spectacular. Just Google him, YouTube him. I mean, I think people think of, a lot of youngsters think of Pinball as this cuddly little guy who's wound up, full of energy, and gives a lot to the community and his foundation, which is spectacular. But they don't see, they forget how great of a player. He was one of the greatest players ever. His story is incredible, from his mom who brought him up in Dunedin, Florida. What a great connection that is, to Toronto. Dunedin being the farm, the spring training site and a farm site for the Toronto Blue Jays. Yeah. But to know what he did as a player, but then to know him as a man and a family man, we are so lucky to have him around. I always kind of wished he would have run for prime minister, or I don't think he can because he's an American, but I think he's actually maybe has his Canadian citizenship now. But he and Diane and their daughters, I just have so much love for him. And especially around kids, what he does around kids, what he does around the Special Olympics. He never says no to anything. He can teach us all a great lesson. He never has a bad day. It's like, hey, Pinball, sorry, somebody just crashed into your car. Oh, that's okay. Pinball, your house is on fire. That's okay. Yes, that's okay. He's just that kind of a guy. And he is so positive. And for all of those reasons, I just think he is one of the greatest people on our planet. And I would do anything for him. I love the man dearly, as we all do. And it's kind of been sad this year that we unfortunately in COVID, we haven't been able to see him. Because Ryan, what's one of the first things Pinball Clemons does to you?
He comes up, catches up, and be like, "Hey, how are you? How things?"
What does he do to you? What does he do?
Gives me a hug.
And so, I hope there's going to be a day, that we all get a chance to hug. He's a special man, and maybe he should get into politics someday. But football's his calling, and like I said, I just think the world of him.
I'm really excited to see what him and the team have in store for 2020 for sure.
Yeah.
But he
was a brilliant coach too, and as a general manager, he knows talent. And he also knows, even though he's got a great heart, he's smart and stern. He knows that, hey, one of the things that, when you get a player, you sign a player, essentially you sign them to replace them someday. So that is going to probably, be one of the things he has to do. But I think if somebody's going to give you a pink slip or tell you that you're going to get cut, I think Pinball Clemons would deliver a pretty good message.
I think so as well. Now, looking back at your time with CTV Sportsnet in 99 to 2000 and 2002 to 09, you touched on it about being able to sit in the broadcast booth with Joe Carter and Pat Tabler. What was it like to be able to cover games with those two individuals and just share their stories and their experiences?
Well, again, Joe is a lot like Pinball Clemons, and Joe is obviously one of the greatest heroes like Pinball. Yep. I mean, one of the greatest home runs. People forget that, Joe Carter also, 2 World Series in a row, touched the baseball, the last guy to touch the baseball. One with a bat in 93 and one with the glove in 92, because Mike Timlin threw that to first base when Otis Nixon, for some reason, bunted, and we beat the Atlanta Braves. But Joe Carter is another special guy. He has events, has a great golf event, the best golf event every year. We become great friends through the years. In fact, I was in 2000. My first son was born, Tyler, and I remember he was born downtown, and I had a game. The next day, a Blue Jays game, and I thought, well, I don't think we were ready. My wife Nancy was ready to have the baby yet. And Joe says, don't worry, whatever happens, just come to my hotel and stay at my hotel. We're right downtown. Don't worry about that. Well, I thought we'd get a replacement the next day because it was going late, but they couldn't. And so I still had to do the game against the Cleveland Indians. It was a 12:30 start. So here I am, waiting, and about, it was 3:21 a.m. when he was born. And I had to, I didn't know what to do. I mean, I stayed with my wife and the newborn. A very proud moment, obviously, but I still got to work later that day. So I left the hospital around 6. I went to Joe's room, ended up staying in his room. Actually, I think I slept in his bed with him. It was crazy. And that's kind of guy Joe Carter is. He's just so inviting. And anyways, went and did the game that day. It was obviously, jacked up. I didn't need any Red Bull or anything like that, because I just become a brand new dad. But it's a day I'll never forget. And we also almost named him Carter, but I just thought that was a lot of pressure to put on the kid. But it was Joe's. That says everything about Joe, and we've become such great friends through the years. And Pat Tabler similarly. When Pat started coming into the booth, I mean, I was never around. I knew Tabby from the '92 World Series when he was, predominantly one of the guys that came off the bench, and also has one of the greatest batting averages with bases full in baseball history, by the way. And I knew he was doing studio work with us, and then started to do the in-booth stuff, and it was just great. He just became such a great friend, one of my best friends. I miss him dearly now because we don't cover the games anymore, but just got a chance to travel, around all these stadiums. We golf a lot together. One of the things I think, Ryan, is and this might be good advice for anybody who's watching, is your team. They're all teammates, no matter what you do. The people you work with, no matter who they are, no matter what age, no matter what gender, no matter where they come from, they are the people you're going to hang around with. They're like family. And so I would say through the years, I've had so many of those kind of people with me, and especially Tabby, especially Joe. And to this day, that's, you're most proud of the fact that, you still call them all friends. So it was great to work alongside those two.
That's incredible. And just having those stories and those experiences, like you said, you don't have to collect a lot of stuff, you collect the memories, and those are definitely memories that will last a lifetime.
Yeah.
Now, talking about you and collecting a few things, you've collected a couple awards along your broadcasting career. In 2005, you won the Sports Media Canada Award as an outstanding sports broadcaster. You've also earned 5 Gemini Award nominations for Best Sports Broadcaster. And on top of that, in 2013, you received the Queen Elizabeth II Diamond Jubilee Medal for your volunteer work with Plan Canada. What's it like to get all those awards, all the nominations, and seeing all of the hard work and determination that you've done over the years pay off?
Yeah, well, it's flattering. I didn't get into the business to win any awards. Those ones, though, are the 2 that I'm most proud of. Those are the Queen's Jubilee Awards. I worked with Plan Canada. I had a chance to travel the world, and it gave me a great perspective. And obviously stuff that I've done with Special O. So I've got those are my, if anything I look at some days when I need motivation, I look at that. But the Sports Media Broadcast Award was very special. Because it's from your peers. and that was flattering. The other nominations, and I've had a few. They've all been great. But again, I go back to what I said. I'm not sitting here talking to you without the great analysts that I work with and the great company that I work with. Right there, and CTV and Bell Media, and before that Sportsnet, and you're those people share in whatever award you get through the years. All those awards. That the only reason I'm there is because of them, and I've been lucky to get a number of awards, but I've been lucky to have so many more commentators. I'm sure I have the record for the most ever color commentators worked with, because I do so many sports. So people like Tracy Wilson and Brian Orser and Debbie Wilkes through the years in skating, and Leo Routens in basketball, and Jack Armstrong and Sam Mitchell and Morris Peterson. You go on and on. In golf, Jim Nelford, who I shared a booth with for so many years, and so many magical memories. And David Faraday, who we gave him a start in Canada, for goodness sake, one of the funniest men I know. And in hockey, I had a chance to work with so many people like Mike Johnson and Glenn Healy in the booth in the NHL, and Mike Keenan. And women's hockey with Cheryl Pounder, who is a phenomenal analyst and a great person. You just go down. Football, my friendship with Dwayne Ford is one that I cherish. I mean, we're inseparable on the road. I just like watching him eat sometimes, but the guy was a phenomenal football player, an even better guy. Love him dearly. And, Leif Pedersen before him. So you can see I'm giving you a lot of names here, and it could go on and on, and all the different sports that I've been fortunate. And my co-host for the Special Olympics Limitless Gala for many, many years, Jennifer Hedger, who I have a tremendous amount of respect and fondness for. She's such a great person and vibrant personality, a great broadcaster, and a great co-host as well. So yeah, I've been again, and the baseball, obviously, with Tabby and with Joe Carter, and I did some down in the States as well, a lot of freelance stuff with others. And I did tennis with oh my goodness, Tracy Austin, John McEnroe, and Robert Bettauer and Don Fontana, and boxing with so many great boxing analysts through the years as well. I'm going through all those, and motorsports. Scott Goodyear worked with us for a while, and skiing with Todd Brooker. I've done stuff with Brian Stemmel. The Olympics, the Olympic sports with Susan Ock, and speed skating and short track speed skating, and Kyle Schufelt, who is one of the Champions members, network members. Kyle, who is a great person. I did the Olympics and gymnastics with him. So I'm just kind of going through these, bringing up great emotional memories for him. I love all of these people. They have been just tremendous to work with. They are, they are an appendage. They are like your twin for whatever long that takes to work with. So it's been quite a ride, and it's not over yet. I got, that sports is coming back. I want to do more.
Oh, exactly. And you know what? I'm so glad. Honestly, I'm actually glad that you listed all of those people and all of those individuals, because one of my questions was going to be, has there been one or two individuals that made an impact on your career and on your life? You just provided a handful. Great, because again, you go through your career as a team. You don't go through your career individually, and that's how honestly you have the best experiences. Like, look at me with Special Olympics. I was a shy, quiet kid in high school, believe it or not.
Look at you now. Now you're a podcast king. Now Joe Rogan is calling you.
Yeah.
Look at you. Right?
Yeah, well, hey, one day maybe. But no, it's great because I've been able to get those experiences and work with a great team at Special Olympics as well, and being able to meet individuals like yourself and a lot of individuals that you mentioned, like Jennifer Hedger, like Kyle Schufelt, as well. And it's truly just a remarkable feeling to have, again, that team to help support you no matter where you go in your career.
Yeah, no, it is. And it's, hey, it's, it's not about it's not about all those things that you accomplish in life. Or do in life. It's the people that you touch and people who have touched you, and you remember them by. And we all you learn it probably at a young age. Sometimes it's best to also listen and share and get advice from and just be around. And I love, people call me a broadcaster or an announcer. I would say I'm a storyteller. I like to tell stories, and I like to listen to great stories too. And sometimes stories, maybe they take on a life of their own, or they become fabricated through the years, or become more legendary. But the great thing about these stories is that they some of them have happy endings, some of them have very sad endings. But you learn from stories, and so storytelling to me has been probably the main thread of my career, and I love it. I love telling the stories of the athletes more than anything. The athletes and the builders and the coaches and the parents. I love those stories because I think every athlete's kind of like a snowflake, but they're all different, but they're all the same, in that they've had one word that has always been ingrained in their minds, and that word is belief. They've had an incredible belief to get to that next level. And I see that in every athlete, every successful athlete, transform it into business, Ryan, transform it into whatever, transform it into family. I just think that the ability to share, life would really suck if we couldn't share it with somebody. And that's kind of what, has made 2020 tough to digest, is because we just haven't been able to share. Thank God for Zoom. I think Zoom actually maybe started the virus. I'm not sure. I mean, it's like thank God, because we've been able to connect. Life is about connections.
100%. Now, I just have a couple more questions before we let you go. Talking about the stories with the athletes and the moments with the parents and family members and things like that. We met each other through the Special Olympics movement, again, like I said earlier on, a number of years ago. And it's always a blast catching up with you at events. Yeah. It's at Argo Games, at galas, wherever it may be. What's it like, or how has it been how has that been for you to be able to give back to the community through Special Olympics, but also just mainly know that you've made an impact on so many individuals' lives through the Special Olympics?
Yeah, I mean, Special Olympics has been, it's the greatest word ever. First of all, special, because it is special. And, when you first get involved, I think a lot of people don't know a lot about it. And, when I was growing up in Winnipeg, there was a great Special Olympics movement there, but I don't think it had quite the momentum it has now. And because of Dr. Frank Hayden, because of Special Olympics Canada and all of those fabulous people and volunteers and sponsors. And I will also say because of TSN, the late Jim Thompson, who was able to hand off his vision to great people like Rick Brace and Keith Pelly and Rick Chisholm and Stuart Johnston and Mark Milliere and Paul Graham and all of these people through the years. TSN has really carried this tradition on of identifying the athletes and making sure that they had proper respect. And I think that's the word, is respect. It's humanity. And I've got to know you. I mean, you're one of my best pals. And I've got to know Troy and Arthur through the years. And not just great athletes. I think about Sebastian Amel, who I think is a buddy of yours too, who's a great guy. We keep in touch all the time. Tess Trojan. You get to meet so many of the Special Olympics athletes. And I'm sure this is I'm talking to a Special Olympic athlete, a decorated one in yourself, is that all you want is respect. All you want is the same kind of respect that a professional athlete or amateur. Athletes are athletes. We're all human. Because we call them athletes with intellectual disabilities. But I don't like that word disability, because I think the abilities are incredible. As all of those so-called disabilities people talked about through the years, I have seen so many incredible abilities. I've watched you grow into this great man that you are because of Special Olympics. I've watched Special Olympics do to families and kids and older kids, transformative things. And I just think that, could you imagine if there wasn't special? What would you do without Special Olympics? I mean, your life would go on. You try to find, you need your support group, but could you imagine life? And I guess that's what 2020, I mean, people have forgotten, like, we've forgotten about our, here's the other thing. Special Olympics allows you to be active, be part of a team. And you know a variety of Special Olympics athletes who have varying forms of intellectual disability. They're all the same. Everybody's the same. That's what I love. Everybody's the same. And to know that oath to me those are the greatest words ever spoken. Let me win, but if I cannot win, let me be brave in the attempt. Those words are magic. They are magic. And I think it's not only just the words that Special Olympians should live by, we should all live by those words. So, Ryan, through getting to know all of you Special Olympians, getting to know Special Olympics, I think everybody always thank you for doing. Don't thank me. I want to thank you. I want to thank Special Olympics. You've enriched my life, made it better. Making it understand, what people have to go through. And the parents. I mean, the parents who are angels in many ways, the coaches, the volunteers. Keep in mind, this is pretty much a volunteer-driven organization. Thousands and thousands and thousands through the years have been able to volunteer, and I encourage anybody to get involved. Once you're involved, it's like that. Is it Scarface movie? Every time I'm out, they drag me back in. Once you are in with Special Olympics, you are in for life. It is a love affair that is everlasting.
Without a doubt. And again, I thank Special Olympics and I thank TSN for letting us develop the friendship that we've developed over the years as well. Now, my last question for you is, you've had all your experiences come forth. You've been able to kind of rekindle those moments today. And what kind of words of wisdom would you want to give to the next generation of sportscasters that want to get into the industry and not just make a name for themselves, or not even make a name for themselves, but just have those new experiences for them to develop?
Don't take my job. No.
Wait till Rob retires, then looking to get into it.
Yeah, no. I admire everybody who's gotten into it. First of all, it's a very difficult business to get into. It was not like when I was. It was hard then too, but now you really have to go to school. My advice is, I think it's the same advice, Ryan. We talked about at the beginning. Is find that path that you love, and put your heart and soul into it. Work so hard. I mean, again, people see that side of us being on TV or doing games, but you don't see the hours and hours and hours of watching and rewatching games and watching athletes and writing. I will give that advice. Write. It forms your narrative. Write. WRITE, write, and make it RIGHT, right. And be a good storyteller. And here's a really, I think, a good one. Be yourself. I think some people try. Don't become the next me or the next Brian Williams or the next Pinball Clemons or whatever, or Jennifer Hedger or Kate Burness. Or become yourself. Become yourself. Be comfortable in who you are, and sell yourself. And make sure that when you do sell yourself, you come with knowledge. You come with the ability to tell great stories. You come with a sense of humor, self-deprecation. You will never be as good as anybody thinks you are, and you'll never be as bad as anybody thinks you are. But and live it and love it. That's been my journey, and it still continues. Again, like I said, I love it every single day. I'm so lucky, and I think that's great. I think that's really good advice for anybody who gets in. And again, I think you got to find a school. Like, there are great courses out there. You just can't walk into a station, for instance, and say, "Hey, I'm going to put me on the air." And by the way, broadcasting might not be. You might think you might want to be an on-air personality or broadcaster, but I can tell you so many who have gone in and then they've channeled it to production or direction or management. I can tell you right now, there have been so many young interns that I have met through the years that have come aboard, and I love the interns coming. I want them to do stuff. I don't want them to just fetch us coffee. So many of those interns, Ryan, are now my boss. So they become bosses. So treat them the same way coming up as you would. And here's another good intern story. Is that, you know, I used to do the Expos games as well, and in Montreal in the '90s, and even up until when the Expos left. And I'll never forget, there was this young intern who kept calling me Mr. Black, Mr. Black, Mr. Black. Can I get you? He would fetch me my stats, and he was around a lot, and he kept calling me. And I don't, you know me, I call me Rod. Please don't stop it. You know, he was unbelievable. He was one of the best interns I've ever been around. He'd be there right with you. I couldn't shake him actually sometimes. And that intern is now the general manager of the Atlanta Braves, Alex Anthopoulos. So, you know, and I guess that's the thing. Start here, aim high, write it down, write your dream down. A dream can't take flight until you write it down, and you never know where you can land up. You never know where you can land, where you can finish, and just keep aiming. Never be satisfied. So that's a lot of advice, but, you know, I think we all can do it. And especially during this past year, this is probably going to be a good time to train and get better. And I really want to encourage all the Special Olympics athletes. I know you probably have a great following of all of them who are watching. To all of you, first of all, I miss hugs and I miss seeing you. But I also want to make sure that during this time, you still can get outside and train. And, you know, you can walk, you can run if you can. Make sure that you try to do something that replicates very similar to what your sport is. You may not have been able to play a team sport, but be ready, because guess what? This will end. It will be better. Everything will be better. I promise you. I know it'll be better. It'll be better for Special Olympics too. So I really encourage all of those athletes out there who are watching. And yeah, you might have missed something this year. You'll get it back. You'll get it back. Just be ready. Don't be just sitting around watching Netflix all day. Although if you're going to watch Netflix, don't watch the Tiger. Oh no, but if you're going to watch anything, sit around and watch TSN. No. But don't just think that, you know, you have to stay inside all the time. Get outside, be active. That's what Special Olympics is about. Win, and if you cannot win, be brave in the attempt.
Great words of wisdom and advice from Rod Black. Thank you, sir, for taking the time to be on the show. I really appreciate it. It's just hearing your stories and your experiences is so heartwarming to me. And again, I'm thankful for our friendship. And I look forward to seeing what 2021 brings for both of us.
Well, yeah, we're going to see each other. I can't give you a hug. I'll give you a COVID hug, okay? I'll give you a COVID hug. There you go. I'll give you a COVID hug. There you go. And yeah, Ryan, good. Hey, continued success with what you're doing with this podcast. You're reaching a lot of people, especially Special Olympics people, all your buddies. I know you've done great work with the Special Olympics. I'm so proud of what you've done, but I just know this is the start. So keep going, bud. Keep going.
Sir. Looking forward to talking in the new year. Take care.
Cheers. Happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Can't wait for a new year.
Yes, sir. All right, everyone. That was Rod Black, TSN broadcaster. And thank you to Rod for taking time to share his experiences, his moments with us. And it was tremendous to hear kind of his relationships with so many different co-hosts in so many different sports over the years. Thank you again to you, the fans, for tuning in to another edition of the show. And we look forward for you to tune in to next week's episode, which will be the last episode of 2020. Until then, stay safe, and we will see you soon.